go heading towards my favorite spot on earth. Okay, here I am. I'm up on the 37 acres, and I've said this before, but this is like one of my favorite places on earth. The property. I used to live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I lived on my father-in-law's 5 acres, and I really enjoyed having the land there. It wasn't mine, but it was available for me to use. And then later we moved to 6.2 acres that he owned in Maricopa, and I really enjoyed that. It was kind of out in the middle of nowhere at the time, and he grew alfalfa. There was an old house that he had moved out there, and we lived in it. We were supposed to fix it up, but the wife just couldn't handle the house. There were mice running around, and anyway, we moved back into town, and we ended up buying a little house there, and just small backyard, you know, typical suburbia. and I never really felt super comfortable there. But it worked. It worked for us. And then, work situation, I ended up in Escondido, California. Lived there a whole bunch of years. And that was kind of home. But there was always something in me that longed for having land. And I always wanted to build my own house, and that's still in the plans here. But for right now, I'm explaining how I got the property. So one night I came home from work and I was sitting there watching TV, and I started looking through the penny saver, and I saw an ad in there for 40 acres of land in south central Colorado, and it was I think it was $100 down and $110 a month owner financing. Well, at the time I figured, well, I can afford that. So I called the guy, we made kind of set up an appointment. I took some vacation time off of work, and we were going to go to Colorado. Well, the weekend before we were going to go, Nancy went to Phoenix for some church meeting, and there were some friends there from Oregon. Well, they had told her that there was land like that available in Oregon. So she wanted to go to Oregon. I kind of bought into it because, you know, if she was happier there, I would be happier there. So we went to Oregon and took a week off. We were there for 4 or 5 days, I forget. But it turned out that there wasn't land there. There was much more expensive land, and all of the land there had a lot of regulations. So you had to get government's permission to do just about anything. Plus, in Oregon, their main source of revenue is property tax. They don't have sales tax, they don't have other taxes, but property tax is large. So the lady that was taking us around to show us the property, she kept discouraging us, I would say, or discouraging me. And she kept wanting to show us these 5-acre lots, but knowing what I could get for that kind of price in Colorado, I more or less was not going to be satisfied with 5 acres. So I came home. I was very upset. Upset with Oregon, upset with the realtor, upset with my wife, upset with everything. So she was talking to one of the neighbors who had a United Country, I think it was called something else back then, but right now it's called United Country, catalog from rural property all over the United States. So I started thumbing through that, but the lady gave it to her. So I started thumbing through that, and I found property all over the place that I was interested in. Well, Midwest, Southeast areas of the country, what most people would call the poor part of the country. So anyway, I had called about several properties. They were sold, but they would send me flyers from the office there, and ended up finding a 30-acre spot here in Missouri, probably about 15 to 18 miles away from here. And it was owner financing, down payment was reasonable, the payments were reasonable. So I called about it and it was available. So I decided to go ahead and buy it. Well, I tried buying it over the phone. Yeah, sight unseen. And the realtor, make a long story short, the realtor just wouldn't sell me anything sight unseen. So now I'm upset again. So I get more vacation time. We haul butt back here, and had several phone conversations in between us getting here, or before we got here. So then the realtor's wife, I talked to her one time, and she mentioned this property, that they owned it, they were willing to sell it, and the terms were pretty close to the other one, and this was 37.3 acres, more or less. So anyhow, we came and we looked at this and we fell in love. And I felt when I was on this property something that I hadn't felt in years. So this is how we got it. It was in the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. I'd have to look to find out when we actually bought it. But I made payments on it and actually planned on moving here in 94, but things just didn't work out. So went back to California and ended up getting a job for what would turn into be GE company. And it worked out better in some ways. I lost several years of being here, but financially I'm in a much better situation now than I would have been when we just moved here. But here I am, the property's paid for. I actually, have a little house over there on 137, it's paid for. So I'm doing all right. Retirement, I miss those big paychecks, but I don't have all those big bills either. I have some bills, but not as much as I had when I was in California renting a house. So this is one of my favorite places. I've lived in Illinois, Arizona, California, New York State, and now in Missouri. And by far, this is home. I really feel at home here. So the future plans, I plan on building a house, or may have to have a house built, but I'm planning on doing most of it myself. And there's enough land here to where, yeah, the kids could build themselves a home here if they wanted to. But I'm hoping that this property stays in the family for generations. You know, if it was 1,000 years from now, if Kettners were still living here, it would make me happy. Although I probably wouldn't know about it. Anyway, that's the story of the property. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to, well, I might answer your questions. I'll put it that way. Green salad.